Welcome back to Smart Money Monday. Living in Hawaii, we're all familiar with the importance of disaster preparedness, but being ready isn't just about supplies, it's also about your finances. Joining us today is Kiha Sai from Bank of Hawaii. So Kiha, what does it mean to be financially prepared?
Well, financial preparedness means making sure you can access your money, important information when you need it most, especially if everyday routines are disrupted.
Where should people start?
A good first step is making sure important documents are stored safely. That includes IDs, insurance policies, bank information, and emergency contacts.
And that's where digital copies are also important, right?
Exactly. Saving documents digitally, like in a secure cloud account or on a protected USB, can make a big difference if paper copies are damaged or inaccessible.
Anything else people often overlook?
Well, taking photos or videos of your belongings ahead of time can help simplify insurance claims later on.
What else should people think about?
Access to funds. During an emergency, ATMs or even branches may be limited, so being set up for digital or mobile banking ahead of time is really important.
Cash is still important too, right?
It is. Having some emergency cash set aside can help cover immediate needs if electronic systems are unavailable.
And how does budgeting fit into disaster readiness?
An emergency fund is key. Even a small cushion can help cover unexpected expenses and reduce stress during a challenging time.
Any final advice for families getting prepared, Kiha?
Review your finances before an emergency happens. Make a checklist, update your documents, and talk with your family about a plan.
All right, great reminders. Thank you, Kiha, for helping us think ahead.
My pleasure. And for more tips on financial preparedness, viewers can visit boh.com/resources.